to this small, drafty and pretty badly lit garage, which is the home of this blue thing here. This is my 1972 Volkswagen Beetle 1200. It was recently featured on Johnny Smith's The Late Break Show as part of his Projects of the People series, which I was very grateful to be a part of. In that brief clip I explained basically what this car is, what it means to me, and what the plans are for it. I'll leave a link to that below, but in a nutshell, basically this is my first car. I got it when I was 17, just before I passed my test, but it's been parked up for about 5 years now, and I'm sort of getting to the point where I want to do something with it really, and I'd like to restore it and get it back to its original condition, how it would have been in the 70s. It's going to be a long process, there's a lot that needs doing, but I want to record it all basically. I just thought it would be a bit of fun to bring you guys along with me, and maybe give me a bit more motivation to get on with it really. So yeah, this is going to be the first in that series. What I'll do, I'll show you around the car a little bit, and I'll talk to you about what I'd like to do today. Okay, so as you can tell, I'm working with quite a limited space here at Beetle HQ. It's what I've got for the time being. Hopefully at some point in the future I'll be able to upgrade and some more spacious accommodation, but we've got to work with what you got. So I'll try and show you a little bit around the car. Say it's 72, it's a 1200 Beetle, so I'll show you on here. So yeah, it's a 1200 single port, so that's the early style Beetle engine that puts out about 34 horsepower. This was the base model in 1972. They didn't get more basic than this really. There was nothing on them whatsoever. You didn't even get a radio. I think you only got the one sun visor as well. So yeah, this is not the original engine. Replaced the engine myself after, well, with some help, after it blew up on the day we got it, which is great, but it is still a 1200 single port, and it is still very slow. In terms of the car itself, it's fairly solid. You know, there's some body work that needs doing, but it doesn't have much of the sort of usual Beetle rot, especially underneath. Can't really show you underneath at the moment, but it is pretty solid. The pans are all quite good. They were replaced before I had it, but yeah, obviously major thing is the paint. This is not the original colour, and you know, it's just a really bad respray, which is kind of coming off already, and you know, you can see spots of rust bubbling through, so they will need sorting. There might be a tiny bit of welding. See where this sort of balance is coming off here, things like that. You know, I'll need to get a new wing for this side. A bit of damage down there. The wings are not expensive or hard to come by really. See, I've got some spare doors as well. That door in particular is very bad. These doors aren't much better. They're pretty rusty along the bottom, which is where they all go. It's just sort of to be expected really, but you know, I'm sort of slowly acquiring bits for it, and trying to keep the budget down as much as possible, and yeah, I anticipate this is going to be a fairly lengthy project, just because I haven't got a huge amount of time or resources to throw at it, but it'll get there, and it will be satisfying when it's done. And you know, I'm quite attached to this car. I have no plans to ever get rid of it, so it takes as long as it takes, and I will endeavour to film as much of it as possible. So what's the plan for today? Well, I think I'm just going to try and get it running really. It's not run properly in about 2 years. It parked up here about 3 or 4 years ago, and hasn't really driven anywhere since. I reckon it will run. No reason why it wouldn't, but I'm going to do a few checks first. I'm going to do a compression test just to sort of check the health of the engine. It's probably not necessary, but I recently bought a compression tester and I kind of want to try it out. Before that, I am going to need to change the battery on it. I've no idea how old that one is. I did put it on, well, I kind of gave it a quick charge a few weeks ago, and I checked with the multimeter and I think it's just dead. So I got a new one. Going to change that out, and then I will get all the spark plugs out, run a compression test, and then I think we'll just put some fuel in it and see how it goes. So yeah, here we go. I think first we'll just check that it does have some oil. Yeah, pretty dirty, but it's got oil in it. Be enough for a quick start. I think the next video after this one is going to be doing a service, so we'll do an oil change and check the valves and everything. It does look a bit sort of sludgy and oily under here. I'm not too concerned about it, but yeah, we'll do a tune up and everything once we get it running, I think. So yeah, let's get that battery changed. Alright, so it's pretty tight back here. As you can see, the battery in a Beetle lives under the back seat. So I've got that out of the way, and we'll get to work getting this out. A 13mm spanner, which is the most important weapon in any Beetle owner's arsenal. So getting this one off. Basically all the wiring in this car needs to be ripped out and redone. That's going to be a long task, but it's one for the future, I think. It's just a total, well, in every Beetle it's known as the rat's nest, but this one is particularly ratty. Right, that's done. Just lift this one out of here. There we go. So this area, get that out of the way. So this area down here on a Beetle is known as the battery tray, and it's notorious for rot. Because, as you'd expect, battery acid, this is basically the first place where they tend to go. Mine's not too bad, in fact it looks very solid. As I say, the floor plans were replaced just before I had it, so that was about 10 years ago. But yeah, you can see some brown stuff. That just comes off the bottom of the seat, which is made from, like, it's got like horsehair material inside. So one thing on a Beetle it's important to do with the battery is have something insulating it, really, because the metal springs from the back seat, sometimes if you've got someone particularly heavy sitting on them, you can contact the battery posts, and sometimes that starts a fire. Yeah, many a Beetle has burned down because of that back in the day. It's not really been an issue for me, thankfully. I don't tend to have anyone back here. You can't really fit anyone back here anyway. So yeah, I'm not going to bother with that for the time being, but important thing to note. Let's get this new battery. Right, there we go, brand new battery. It's not the best or most expensive brand, but it will do for what we need it for. Right, I think that's on as good as it's going to get. The posts are a bit wider than the old one, and those connections don't really want to open up too much, so that'll do. Alright, well, now it's time for the moment of truth. Do we have any life? No, I can't see anything. No. No life whatsoever. Okay. Well, we're off to a good start, guys. This is going to be fun. Let's find out why we don't have any electrics. Time to get the multimeter out. Well, there you go. You should be able to actually see something now. So Got a multimeter and a test light here. I have to admit that electrics are far from my strong suit, so this is not the situation I want to find myself in. But we will see how we go nonetheless. I'm just going to hang up this light somewhere if I can. First, I guess, I'm just going to check this connection here. Just ground that, I suppose. Anything? Oh yeah. Right, so that's working. Yeah. So that one there works. So why aren't we getting any electrics on the switch? Let's check at the regulator, which is on the other side. So I'll just move this seat out of the way. Okay, so, oh, I see the problem. That comes from the battery to the voltage regulator, and that's very, very loose. Must have knocked it off. See if I can get some pliers and kind of nip that up a bit. Get a little bit more. Oh, there are some pliers. See if I can make that connection a bit tighter. Okay. I'll just test it, why not? I've got my tester here. You know, you need a little bit of drama, don't you guys? When you're starting a YouTube channel. Just test it against there. There we go. Good. Right, let's try the key again. Okay, take two. Fingers crossed. Hey! So we've got oil light but no generator light. Okay, I told you the electrics were in a state. But that'll do for us for now. Even the fuel gauge is coming up a little bit. I don't think there's any fuel in it at the moment. See, do we have lights? We have lights. Don't have that. Don't have that. And the horn sounds like it's trying to do something. Let's see if we can bump it over. No. Okay. More work to be done. Just as I said that, we have life. Well, I reckon time for a brew break. We made a little bit of progress there, just changing the battery and some minor electrical shenanigans. Next comes the fun part, I think, doing the compression test. But I'll just have a quick brew and a sandwich, and then we'll get cracking with that. Alright then, break time's over. Let's get these spark plugs out. First job is to get rid of these hoses. They're just in the way of the spark plugs, which are down here. What these do, well, this one is like your hot air hose, so that's for cold starting. It just takes air from underneath the car, which is usually hotter because it's air cooled, into the intake. So get rid of that one first. There we go. And these are for heat, basically. So the air comes in back here, and then this tin kind of directs it down over the cylinders. There are some flaps, or there should be some flaps, I think they might be missing on this car, connected to the thermostat. So when the engine's cold, those flaps are closed and the air is directed down these tubes into some heat exchangers over the exhausts and then into the car. So that's where you get your heat from. No, it's okay. When they're like, when it's adjusted so it's working properly, you can get decent heat, but 9 times out of 10 they're not. So this is where the sort of semi-urban legend about the heat in VW Beetles being really crap comes from. It's not technically true, like the heat in Beetles can be quite good, but most of the time it isn't. You just need to keep on top of it. The heat in this car is not connected. The reason being, the heater channels down the side of the car, which is where the air goes to, they're notorious for rotting out. Because basically the hot air goes through there, and then the outside of the heater channel is cold, so the air condenses and then they just rust. So the previous owner of this car decided not to connect them up because he thought, I don't want to have to deal with that. And that tube might need replacing, I don't know. As I say, the flaps in there don't really work anyway, so they don't really do much, but they do stop some of the heat getting back up into the engine compartment, which help with overheating. Okay, right. Okay, this is where I remind myself exactly how much of the gain is out to get out. So as I say, it's a flat 4, so you've got cylinder 1, 2, 3, 4 pointing out like that. So it just makes access quite tight because you've got to get back here. So we use one of my favourite bits of kit, which is this little joint on the end of the socket wrench. Honestly, just is an absolute lifesaver. But that socket is too deep to get in there. Let's see. There we go. There we go, one spark plug. Looks a little bit, oh, see that? Looks a little bit black to me. Not too bad, but I don't have any new spark plugs. So when I do a tune-up, I'll get some of those and I think I'll just replace them. It should be good enough, but we shall see. There we go. Similar story, that one's a bit black. A little bit oily. Very oily. There we go. May have skipped ahead a bit there, guys. You haven't missed out on much, just shouting and swearing. As I suspected though, also quite oily. I think I might have an oil leak somewhere. There we go, that's done. Right. There we go. Right guys, I've got to be honest, that was a massive pain in the arse getting that in there. I got it into cylinder number 2 because that's the easiest one to do. But if it's, I don't know, I'm going to do it for all of them. I don't know if I fancy doing that another 3 times. We'll see what it comes up with. So I've got all the spark plugs out. I'm going to take the distributor cap off. There we we go, just to make sure that it doesn't, like none of those HT leads arc or anything like that. So what I'm going to do now, hold the throttle wide open, crank the engine over, and hopefully we should see how much compression we got in cylinder 2 at least. Let's see how we get on. I make that 80, which is bad. It should be reading just above, ideally. On an engine like this, I'd expect around 110. Anything below 90, that's like engine rebuild. So, I mean, you will expect compression to be a bit low on, you know, an engine that's been sitting, because basically corrosion builds up on the inside of the engine around like the valve stems and stuff like that. So they just don't seal properly, and you lose a bit of compression. You know, when you run it a bit, then you would expect that to come back. But yeah, 80 is concerning, to be honest. Okay, I just tried it again, guys, and did spin over a bit quicker that time. I didn't get it on camera. I just wanted to do it for my own benefit, really. But it's higher already, more like 90. So that's good news. I'm going to try the other cylinders, just in case. But yeah, was a little bit of concern there, but I think we're doing all right. Right, managed to get it onto cylinder number 1. A little bit less faff that time. No, practice makes perfect. Let's see how we do. Ah, yeah, 75. Although it is dropping, so I'm saying, yeah, it's dropping quite quick. So I'm saying I haven't got that screwed on properly. Oil pressure light's gone out. That's good. Yeah, we're above 90. Not too bad for a 1200 that hasn't run in however long. Okay, I just thought I'd give cylinder number 3 a shot. Reason being, on Beetles, well, all they're called VWs really, cylinder 3 tends to be the one that goes to first. Reason being, see back here, cooling, not here, the cooling tinware. Basically, in this side, around about here, lives the oil cooler. So the air comes in, goes over the oil cooler before it gets to these cylinders, especially the one at the back there, cylinder number 3. So basically, when the air gets to cylinder number 3, it tends to be hotter than it is for the other 3 cylinders. So that one tends to be runs a little bit hotter, and then you can end up with burnt valves and burnt piston rings. And so the first sign of that happening really is low compression. So we'll give it a go. $105, so that's the best one yet. Just goes to show what I know, doesn't it? We're getting somewhere. Okay, last one. Getting good at this now. Yeah, about the same. So, weirdly, the compression is lower on this side. There's a couple of things I can do about that. When I do a service, I'm going to do the valves and everything, so the valves might be a bit tight. That can help bring the compression back if you just loosen the valves. The other thing might be that I need to re-torque the heads. I don't have a torque wrench, so I'll have to get one of those, but I can do that whilst I'm doing the valves, because I'll have to have the rocker cover off, and I can get the head studs so I can re-torque those. But that's encouraging. So next job's just going to be get those spark plugs back in. I'll clean them up a bit first, get them back in, and then we get on to the exciting bit, actually try and fire it up. Right, Time for fuel. Okay, so we're full of fuel now, but something I need to do first before I turn the key, and I'll show you what that is. I do apologise for the wind noise, guys. It's a very nasty day here today, and I don't have a decent mic. I will invest in one, but you know, budget is a concern at the moment. So first I just need to take the air cleaner off the top of the carburetor. Just lift it off like that. And battery, wear out the starter. But see this little tube here? That's a breather tube that goes back into the float bowl. So this is not hand sanitizer. This is petrol that I've cunningly put into this little squeezy bottle, and I'm just gonna dribble fuel, if I can, down this tube, spill a little bit. It's basically fill up the float bowl on the carb. It should just run off that instead of having to pull all the fuel through from the tank. Run for long enough to just pull the fuel through. We're not going to burn up the charger, the starter. So we've got the choke on. What do you say we give it a go? I'm excited. Are you excited? Oh, wow, I heard it cough. It wants to go, doesn't it? Let me say we just give it more down here. We are so close. Oh, I can smell it. Let's dribble a little bit more and see if we've got any in there. Not yet. So it's not come through from the tank just yet. A little bit more down that flag bottle. Hey, it's running on some cylinders. Let it warm up a little bit. I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know which cylinders it's not firing on. but it's definitely not on all four. So we'll let it run a little bit, let it warm up, and then we'll see if we can figure that out. But that's a success. It's the first time it's run in about 2 years. Cylinder 2, this one's not firing properly. Whoa, that's a backfire. Yeah. So yeah, cylinder 2's not working, not firing properly, so could be, I think that spark plug looked a bit mangled up, so I am going to get some new plugs for it and, you know, do a service and everything. That's the result though, I'm happy with that. We'll fire back up. So guys, I'm going to leave it there, I think. You can see it got it up and running. 3 cylinders only, but we'll get to the bottom of that. We'll get it running, but I'm happy with that. I'd say that's a result. So yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there for today. I'll tell you what, I'm exhausted. It's hard work, this car stuff. But, you know, it feels really good to hear that sound again, you know. So yeah, we'll finish up here, get everything squared away, and then back home for sit down and a cup of tea, I think. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you can see anything that you think I did wrong, or any advice for me, just let me know down below. Leave us a comment. Definitely subscribe, because I've got more coming, and if you like this kind of stuff, then yeah, there's going to be a lot of Beetle stuff. So yeah, give us a like and a subscribe and all that. And yeah, see you again soon. Cheers. Well guys, this wasn't in the script. Literally just shutting up the garage. I was about to drive off home, and yeah, garage has fallen. Garage door's fallen off its fucking hinge. So, sure what to do about that.